Hi, everyone. It's nice to be here. I want to share a meditation practice called Tonglen with all of you. Tonglen is really a Tibetan phrase consisting of two Tibetan words, Tong as in to send, and Len to take in or to receive. And the basis of this meditation is really a experiencing or a felt sense of taking in the sense of suffering, whether for oneself or for sentient beings or another individual, and to send out this sense of happiness or wishing for beings or yourself to be free from suffering. And this meditation practice is actually also found in Shantideva's Bodhicharyavatara, or the Way of the Bodhisattva, in the 9th chapter, which the 9th chapter actually talks about wisdom. And so by introducing this meditation practice, Shantideva is introducing this idea of wisdom and this sense that there is no separation between self or other, and touching into another teaching that talks about that there is a lack of self or a lack of person that is separate from anything else. So maybe what we can experience within Tonglen is that we can connect with or relate to an experience of suffering for oneself or an experiencing of suffering for others. And then also relate to a sense of wishing for happiness for oneself or wishing for happiness for others. Because sometimes we don't want to experience our suffering. It's too painful, it's exhausting, it causes anxiety. And so we try to disassociate with it. But I think what we can sometimes also experience in our lives or see through other people's lives, that disassociating with our suffering doesn't necessarily find happiness for ourselves, that it might be a temporary sense of relief, but eventually we might have to experience it. But what's also so helpful with this type of meditation is that it's not just focused on that aspect of our lives, but also touches into how we might be able to experience, even for a very brief moment, brief as a moment as an exhale, that we can experience, to be free from that suffering, or to experience a genuine happiness that does bring relief for a long moment. And so this type of meditation practice touches into those two aspects of acknowledging and taking in the suffering, and then also perhaps experiencing a moment to be free from that suffering through an aspiration. And so to also remember that when we're doing these practices, it is not that we are actually experiencing more suffering in the moment, but it's coming from a thought at first. And maybe we can feel into it that, we really feel like we're taking in people's suffering because we wish for them to be free of that suffering. And then we offer happiness, offering ourselves happiness. How often do we get to do that? And to feel that in that moment, even if it starts off as a thought, but maybe it does bring a short sense of relief in that exhale. But to then start to see that, working with these kind of frameworks of our thoughts and aspirations and touching into the connection of all beings, and that we're not separate. So I want to share the meditation, and as I go through it, I will give the instructions. But the basis of the instructions for Tonglen practice is that we start with ourselves. So we imagine ourselves and we think of ourselves. And on the in-breath, we breathe in suffering, and breathe in, the sense of suffering. And if it's too difficult to, think about those things, then you can breathe it in as a dark fog, something of that nature. And then on the exhale, breathing out, the wish to be free from suffering, a wish to have happiness, which you can also breathe out in light, so that you can work with kind of different frameworks depending on where you are mentally. And you're not being asked to manipulate your breath. Your breath can be very natural. And so if you feel that, to think of something while you're breathing and they're not sinking, that's okay. You can just rest and start again. But you're using the breath as a mechanism to shift between these two thoughts. One, so you're breathing in suffering of the individual or group of individuals, and then breathing out happiness or light. So I would invite you to practice with me for a few minutes. So to first start, we'll just first by finding our seat, finding a comfortable seat for yourself. So whether that means you're sitting in a chair or you're sitting on the floor, or maybe even if you're, sitting on the couch or sitting in the dentist office waiting, that you can do this. And so first you just want to find a comfortable seat, and we'll bring our attention to where our legs and our back touch our seat, and feel into that, feeling the support of the chair or of the ground or of the couch, allowing yourself just to rest there. Your body naturally is being supported by what you're sitting on and by the earth. So we'll just take a minute to feel that. And as you find yourself slowly settling, can you turn your attention towards your breath? And I invite you to bring that attention on your breath into what we call the Dantian, which is almost in the pit of your belly. So it's 3 fingers down from your navel and 3 fingers in. You might be able to notice your breath in this location of your body. And we'll begin our practice of Tonglen with ourselves. So sometimes we can just think of ourselves And we're very close to our experiences of feeling suffering, whether that sense of suffering, of feeling of things changing, or sometimes called impermanence, or just a general suffering of suffering, feeling unease. But we know we experience it on a multitude of levels. And wouldn't it be nice to be free of that? So we'll start with ourselves. And on the in breath, so when you're just breathing in, you're going to breathe in all that sense of suffering for yourself. And when you exhale, you send out that's a wish to be free from suffering, the wish for happiness for yourself. We do wish to be happy, free from suffering. So on your in breath, breathe in any suffering that you might be experiencing now or at any time. And on the exhale, breathe out the wish that, really to be free from suffering and to have happiness for yourself. And if you feel like it's difficult to touch into this sense, to really feel your suffering or it becomes overwhelming, you can imagine breathing in dark fog and breathing out lightness for yourself. And just as we wish to be free from the suffering and have happiness, so too do our loved ones and friends feel the same way. Now I invite you to imagine a loved one or a friend, someone you care for and enjoy being around, a very close person to you. And in the same way we did for ourselves, we now think of this person. And on your in breath, you'll breathe in any suffering that they may experience. Or you could breathe in, imagining dark fog, taking it in from them. And on the exhale, sending out light or wishing them to have happiness. So we'll spend a minute doing this for a close friend or loved one. And just as your close loved one or friend, this person, wishes to be free from suffering and have happiness, so do other friends and family of yours, acquaintances, maybe coworkers, your neighbors. You can add more people that you know, that you have a sense of closeness to, but maybe more broadly. And put them all there, imagining them all sitting in front of you. And you're taking in their suffering, maybe as a dark fog on the in breath, and sending out light or wishing them to be free from suffering and to have happiness. Really feel that you're taking that in and feel that you're sending it out on your out breath. And I also invite you to imagine more people into this group, maybe people that you don't know, maybe even people that you don't care for as much, or someone that maybe has not always agreed with you, or is not, you don't consider them to be a friend. But I invite you to see if you can include them into this group of people, because as they are humans, and in that regard, they are no different than you. They also wish to be free from suffering and to have happiness. And so I invite you to enlarge in the circle, imagining more people there in front of you, breathing in any of their experiences of suffering, and breathing out a wish for them to be free from the suffering. And now we'll widen it even more to include all living beings. We'll just spend a minute or so breathing in, feeling, sensing in, taking in all beings suffering. Maybe you can see it as a black fog, taking it in and breathing out a wish for them to be free from suffering, to have happiness, maybe in the form of light. And now I just invite you to let go of any of those distractions And we'll just rest for a minute, not having to do anything. And thank you for joining our meditation called Tonglen, also known as sending and receiving. And I hope this was helpful. Thank you.